When you look at what you've done and what your work is, what are like the 2 or 3 things that stay really in your memory? Not because you think they're the best things you ever did, but because they were something that you learned something from. It was just really important to you.
That's a really good question. I don't look back at my career very often. You know, you just sort of kind of pick it up and keep going. I have to say, I learned so much from the movie One Day. Lana Scherfig, who has Their Finest out right now, which I haven't seen, but I understand is just wonderful. I really regret not trusting her more easily. And I am, to this day, scared that the reason I didn't trust her the way I trust some of the other directors I've worked with is because she's a woman.
Wow.
That's
hard to admit, isn't it?
It's so hard to admit, and I hope people understand that it's hard to admit. I'm so scared that I treated her with internalized misogyny. And I'm scared that, that I didn't give her everything that she needed or that I should have, because that I was resisting her on some level. It's something that I've thought a lot about in terms of when I get scripts to be directed by women. When I've seen their work, it's something, and look, I'm getting red talking about this. This feels like a confession, but I think it's something that we should talk about. When I get a script, when I see a first film directed by a woman, I focus on I have in the past focused on what was wrong with it. And when I see a film first time directed by a man, I focus on what's right with it. I focus on where he could go with the next one, and I focus on where she failed to go.
Is that just training? Is that just how we're all brought up?
I don't know. I don't know the answer. It's not my place to say that. I can only acknowledge that I've done that, and I don't want to do that anymore. And maybe me talking about it could make someone else think that whether or not they do it, and maybe I'm just in the back of the pack on this one and no one else does it, in which case, thanks for letting me talk. So that's something that had a really big effect on me.
But it's clearly a thing, because look how difficult it is for a woman to get to be a director.
And by the way, before I realized this, have actively tried to work with female directors, and I still had this mindset buried in there somewhere.
All right, that has to be gone.
I think it has to be gone.
We're going to eradicate that today.
Throw that away.
That's it. It's over to do that.
Wouldn't that be something if that was all it took?
It would be for the industry to have the same feeling and own up to it as you just have, and to do something about what they do about it, because women do. A guy can have basically 3 or 4 failures, and then 1 success, and he's hired again.
And it's fine.
Let the woman have 1 failure, and
but the thing that we don't even talk about is the mountains that you have to climb to even get to the place where you can have a failure, where somebody will give you the reins to anything. That journey is way harder than it should be. It's not equal. And I wonder if it's about the thought process like the one that I just talked about undervaluing what it takes to make a first film, about the consciousness that you bring to that viewership.
It's so strange because you would never have that feeling about the women that you've acted with.
No.
The Meryl Streeps or Kate Blanchetts of the world. There's none of that feeling. So it only applied to when there's that control. Wow.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. I have no problem. I had no problems bowing my. I had no. What's that thing that dogs do when they show their belly? Submission. No. I had no problem submission. I completely understand that, but that was something I had to look at with Lana. And by the way, I really should call her, because I've never apologized to her about it either, or
today,
have this conversation
right after
with
this,
her. I'm going to call her as soon as this is done. I hope I hope I haven't put her on the spot with it.
No,
by mentioning it.
I don't think she would. I think knowing her a little, I know that this is something that she'd probably appreciate, because if people stop being honest about what they're feeling, then how are you going to work with them?
And by the way, we got along. Like, it wasn't an issue of professionalism. It wasn't an issue of nothing. I mean, I really do. I hold her in such a dear place in my heart, and I believe she does for me too. This was simply just a hanging back. I'm so enthusiastic. I throw myself in most of the time. And I didn't as easily with her, and I do regret that.